Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Williams, and I am starting some research on video of things that I've wanted to do for quite some time, especially the things that I'm most familiar with, that I don't have knowledge of those things that I'm using and that are part of my everyday life. I am a researcher, I'm a teacher, and a lot of the things that I teach, I do extensive research on. But this particular video is focusing on the Ticonderoga pencil. Believe it or not, this is a piece of technology. It's an early piece of technology. Now we use our fingers on the computers and on our smartphones, but actually the Ticonderoga has been around for quite some time, since the early 1800s. And so I want to share with you a bit of backdrop on this pencil. What caught my attention is when I was doing breakfast this morning, after doing breakfast this morning, I was reading the paper, the New York Times, and there was the pencil. And so I was like, oh, this will be a good time to investigate this. So I've been investigating the Ticonderoga pencil number 2 all this morning. It started back in 1799 with the birth of the person who invented it, who was Joseph Dixon. It says here he was born in Marblehead, Massachusetts. Naturally curious and entrepreneurial, he enjoyed inventing new tools from an early age. At just 13 years old, he made his first pencil prototypes by baking the graphite in the oven at home. By the way, when I do research, I'm looking at several sources across the internet, and as many sources I can possibly use. So I'm trying to give you a well-rounded report on the Ticonderoga pencil. I am not in any way trying to endorse it, by the way, but it is the pencil that I've been using, oh gosh, for the past 20, 30, 40 years. So that's just something that's interesting me. The research that I'm giving you now is coming from the Ticonderoga.com history website. And so anyway, Joseph Dixon is the inventor of the Ticonderoga pencil. In 1822, he invested in making pencils, which he constructed out of cedar slabs, graphite, and clay. The first Dixon pencils were born and sold for the modest sum of 5 cents a piece. This was back in 1822. In 1827, when graphite became big business, he developed other inventions, including a crucible that could withstand the heat of 2,780 degrees. It was this crucible that allowed him to expand his business ventures. So in 1827, he founded the Dixon Crucible Company in Salem, Massachusetts. In 1847, he continued to expand his company, and it became widely used in the production of iron and steel during the Mexican-American War. So successful until he built a crucible factory in New Jersey in 1847. And then in 1866, it was when the demand for pencils began to take off. During the American Civil War, the popularity of pencils started to take off. Soldiers needed something more battlefield ready than quill pens for writing letters home. So there was that demand. So he went on to develop a machine that would produce 132 pencils per minute. With pencil production on the rise, this guy died in 1869. So at that time, his company was the largest manufacturer of graphite products in the world. So by 1872, this company was making 86,000 pencils per day. And then the erasers were added to the top of the pencils in 1876. Now, 1913 brought on the classic yellow #2 Ticonderoga pencil, okay? This pencil was originally manufactured with a brass ferrule, but it was temporarily changed to green plastic due to metal rationing during World War II. So this pencil now continues to be manufactured using a metal ferrule. In 1919, the Ticonderoga actually began to become very popular among American artists, and especially those that created paintings that depicted heroic deeds that are tied to the pencil's name, which is it's named after Fort Ticonderoga in New York. And so Norman Rockwell, if you remember the Norman Rockwell paintings, he began to advertise the Ticonderoga pencils, including a painting called The First Pencil. This was in 1919. And then 1943, they continued with doing a lot of advertising on the radio. 1963 marked the 50th anniversary of the pencil. And then we have in 2005, we now have the Dixon Ticonderoga Company joining a group called the F.I.L.A group. And with that, okay, it continues to sell over 700 million pencils to students and writers every year. So just to give you a little bit more about this, this Ticonderoga pencil is currently being made and manufactured in China and Mexico. Also, I understand other countries like Sri Lanka and Brazil. Okay, but it's not in Ticonderoga, New York, as it started out to be. So, with that in mind, knowing that it's no longer made in New York or even the United States, it says, while the graphite for the pencils was originally sourced from Ticonderoga, where there was an American graphite company there, where they actually had the graphite mines, that closed down. So the manufacturing of these pencils shifted to other locations, including China, overseas. So this company also, the Dixon Ticonderoga Company also combined in 2005 with F.I.L.A, the F.I.L.A group out of Italy. F.I.L.A, F-I-L-A, stands for Fabbrica Italiana Lapicelle Affini, okay? So basically that is a company that has a history in producing art and writing materials, and is now global. So all of their creative products are produced in these countries and sold all over the world now, including the Ticonderoga pencil. I want to talk about what the Ticonderoga pencil is made of, the original one. Okay, the Ticonderoga pencils are primarily made of wood. It's called, used to be the American cedar wood. Okay, it has a graphite core, which is what we used to call the pencil lead. And granted, teachers, we've kind of gotten on to students for not puncturing anybody or sticking anybody with the lead because it's lead, and we know lead is dangerous. But actually, these pencils are not made out of lead. They're made out of graphite. And also there's the eraser. So the wood traditionally used to be Eastern Red Cedar, and it's now called premium American cedar or other quality woods. So the Ticonderoga pencils maybe that we've been using a few years back, since they've sourced the manufacturing of these pencils over to other countries, may not necessarily be the same type of wood products as they were manufactured with in the early days this pencil. But actually, the pencil is made of graphite. Pencil, that the part that we write with, is made of graphite. And also, something else I want to say is that I remember this pencil when I started first grade at Charles Richard Drew Elementary in Pompano Beach, Florida, Collier City. Those of you that are from there and started first grade with me, you remember the jumbo pencils. I think they were Ticonderogas. The jumbo pencils that we had in first grade. We didn't have kindergarten then, so kindergarten started a couple years after I started first grade. But I started writing with a fat pencil, fell in love with the pencil, and I'm still in love with the pencil. Now, there are, like I said, there are some drawbacks now that people are posting about the Ticonderoga, and I am not here to refute those drawbacks, because the way the pencil was manufactured and the original manufacturing of the pencil, of course, has changed over time. Once you scale up a business and it begins to be a part of a larger source. And we've got to think about the economics. We've got to think about the eco-friendliness that we try to follow nowadays in terms of the environment, and all that feeds into what this pencil may be. But I can say that I've used it for 30 plus years, and I still love this pencil over all the other pencil products that I've used. One thing I've noticed is that when I put it in the pencil sharpener, it doesn't take that many turns to sharpen it, okay? In other words, some of the other brands, when you try to sharpen the pencil, it sharpens halfway down, almost to a nub, to get it sharpened. And also, they aren't as easily breakable if you drop it, because especially the ones that are made out of the special cedar, actually makes them soft on impact. So all of that. But anyway, that is the research that I found on the originally American-made Ticonderoga pencil, which is now a worldwide manufactured pencil, but it's still in use, and I still use it even to this day. Now, the one that I'm holding up is not a Ticonderoga. I brought several here. This is Paper Mate. But here is and I'm referring to the Dixon Ticonderoga No. 2 pencil. Thank you. I hope you liked my presentation of this. I want to do more research on so many different things. Like maybe the next video that I produce will be on the history of the computer, because I did come up during that era when the computers were first introduced to the public. So I'm aware of that. And just to tell you, the graphite that's in this pencil is also in your computer. It's in your keyboard. It's in the heat sink that protects your semiconductor units, that protects the main circuitry of the computer a lot of times. So graphite is a product that is still in use with our tools that we use on an everyday basis. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you will like the video, and that you will subscribe, and that you will let me know. I'm going to leave the comments turned on. I want to know what your comments are. I love feedback, so if I need to improve on something, I most certainly will. Thank you.